Data science methods and real-world evidence in health. Next slide. So I'm Anirban Basu. I'm a professor of health economics and the director of the Choice Institute here at the University of Washington in Seattle. And I'm joined with my colleague, Liana Del Torre, who is the certificate program manager. And you will get to hear from her in a minute. Next slide. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about the certificate that we offer from the Choice Institute. But first, I will start about a brief introduction to the Choice Institute. I'll talk about the certificate structure and the courses and the online learning component that it encompasses. And then I'm going to give it over to Liana to talk about program cost, admissions, and applications. Okay, let's dive right into it. As some of you may know, the Comparative Health Outcomes Policy and Economics of the Choice Institute at the University of Washington in Seattle is a global leader in generating knowledge to improve individual and population health through transformative learning, research, and dissemination about the effectiveness, safety, and value of medical products, services, and policies. So basically, our goal is to incorporate everything about health economics and outcomes research in really making healthcare more efficient and equitable. Next slide. So the Choice's mission encompasses three kind of pillars. One is obviously research, developing innovative methods, generate actionable evidence about effectiveness, safety, and value of medical products. It also encompasses training, provides very transformative training on a wide variety of students, including the post-PharmD masters and PhD, and we are embarking possibly in the next few years on a new master's in health economics. And obviously, we also engage in quite a bit of service, not only with our local organizations, but national, international payers and other members and stakeholders in the healthcare system. Next slide. The Choice Institute at the University of Washington obviously has a very critical cluster of world-renowned faculty applying these kind of work in the HEOR field. They include, leaders in applying data science methods, machine learning to health innovation and value assessment, and UW ranks consistently in the top public universities in the world. Let's go. Next slide. The Choice Institute offers two certificate programs. One is the Data Science Methods for Real-World Evidence in Health, and the other is Health Economics, Technology Assessment, and Market Access. Today, we are going to talk about the first one, the Data Science Methods and Real-World Evidence. So what do this certificate kind of provides? Typically, obviously, as you know, data science, the whole data science field has evolved over the last several years. And now it's one of the core competency that people look for in the HEOR field. Part of the reason is that the generation of data has been quite extensive and efficient. And so, understanding how to extract intelligence from those data is very important. So in this certificate, we look at, give a comprehensive look at the data science concepts, how we employ them to evaluate and interpret health data. It'll give you understanding of how to bridge the gap between technical analytics and organizational decision making. And one of the unique feature of this certificate, which I think no other certificate in data science kind of encompasses, is that we are not trying to teach you derivative statistics or even hardcore programming. We are trying to teach you fundamental concepts about assumptions on various approaches and methods that data science field kind of evokes when they're analyzing health data. And as a result, when even if you're not programming, these methods or yourself, but you're critically evaluating research projects or embarking on kind of understanding a whole portfolio of research, you have an understanding of how you approach the problem, where are the roadblocks, and how you overcome them, because you understand the fundamentals of the methods clear and well. This was previously offered as a data science in health economics and outcomes research, but because of the confusion in the name with the other certificate and the expansion of some of the topics that we would cover in this certificate, we have renamed this to our current data science methods for RWE in health. Next slide. We think that this certificate and partly our thinking evolves from our corporate advisory board. We have the head of HEOR from 30 large biomedical companies that sit with us every year, and from their perspective, they didn't want, or even in their organization, they didn't want to send anybody to say, oh, you go take a full master's or you learn how to do these statistical derivations. They wanted fast and quick understanding of where the key gaps are in the understanding of these evolving data science landscape in HEOR. And based on their feedback, we think this certificate really is meant or targeted towards working professionals in pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and healthcare industries, especially relevant if you collaborate with data scientists, analytics team, you're trying to make evidence-based decisions, and you are bombarded with a variety of proposals and studies that you have to critically evaluate and see whether you want to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars in conducting them and how to conduct them. But it's also not limited to people working in HEOR, market access leader, people who are real world evidence analysts who are well familiar with these methods, but wants to get a rehash of all the latest stuff that's going on, medical science liaisons, product and strategy managers, even data scientists and data science collaborators. There are a lot of good statisticians who have forever worked in clinical trials data, but they are now foraying into understanding real world data. And these concepts could really give them hands up in getting to know those concepts and applying them in their work. Next slide. The faculty who is going to teach in this certificate course includes Professor Beth Devine, who is Professor Emeritus with us, but also the current president of ISPOR, myself, and then Professor Noemi Crave, who is a very internationally renowned econometrician, who is going to offer the third course. Next slide. So the program details. As I said, the whole the certificate kind of materials are developed and taught by these leading experts in the field. They are designed to be online, asynchronous lessons, and also to provide maximum flexibility for working professionals who do not have fixed time that they can devote every week towards this. It's a 10-week online courses over 3 consecutive academic quarters. So it kind of aligns with the UW quarter system. You do a fall course, you do a winter course, and you do a spring course. It's also give you 9 continuing education units. These are non-academic units, so you're still considered to be non-matriculated by the university, but you can certainly get continuing education units. Each quarter, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, would also consist of an individual capstone project besides going through the course materials in that quarter. Next. Again, the course structure, it's online and asynchronous. Basically, we employ the Canvas learning management system. You log in, all the materials are there. You go through them, the recorded lecture in a certain sequence that we have laid out, and then you have an individual capstone project. Every quarter, we have two quarterly Zoom meetings, which are completely optional, but you get a chance to actually ask questions to us, faculty, and get feedback. Anywhere you have um, some uncertainty about understanding certain concepts, or you can bring certain problems that you're facing in your work and how you can kind of approach them, and we would be happy to discuss those with you. Although the whole certificate program is online learning is not passive learning. There is a time commitment to go through this, especially going to the readings and the course materials. We expect about 5 to 6 hours a week to go through it, and you get a grade of successful completion or unsuccessful completion at the end. Um, there will be a devoted teaching assistant assigned to each course, and they would be with you every week, continuously, and you can send them questions and ask questions whenever you need to. The successful completion of each course is needed to move on to the next course in the sequence. So here is the sequence of courses in autumn quarter. We start with the principles of data science and healthcare data given by Professor Beth Devine. Then in the winter quarter, after successful completion of that, you move on in the winter quarter to comparative effectiveness, causal inference, and real world evidence. That's taught by me. And then you move on in the spring quarter to principles of machine learning and applications in healthcare. So let me go briefly through some of the contents of these courses. In the fall quarter, you have the principles of data science and healthcare data. And this course, what we're going to do is introduce some of the data science concepts, how to manage real world data, including claims, electronic health records, what are the unique features of those, how to approach them. We're going to give you introductory concepts in statistics, including probability, distribution, regressions, and then topics in epidemiology and evidence synthesis, systematic reviews and meta-analysis, including some of the AI, evolving AI stuff that's going on in this thing. We're also going to give you an introduction to R coding, just so you have some basis to kind of say, okay, if you need to use R, here are the basics. We are not going to do much R throughout the other quarters because this is not a certificate to teach you coding. Nowadays, there's AI, you can just ask them to code for you and you don't have to actually learn coding. But it's fundamental that you understand the assumptions that behind what you want to code, the method that you want to employ, and that's what this certificate is for. Next slide. The next course is comparative effectiveness, causal inference, and real world evidence. And here is kind of the meat of comparative effectiveness and RWE kind of work. We're going to introduce the concepts of causality, how to choose between covariates when you are thinking of a regression and outcome, how to analyze healthcare expenditure data, utilizations, counts, survival, methods for evaluating policy and estimating causal treatment effects, how you can project trial data to real world data, analyzing longitudinal or panel data, the whole host of stuff. And often, in graduate school, we covered this over multiple courses, and what we are giving you as a distillation of those, but bringing to you the key concepts and the assumptions that underlie the choice of these methods in particular instances or particular kind of data scenarios or analysis. Next course. And the last course is the principles of machine learning and applications in healthcare. And here, Professor Kreef is going to go over concepts in machine learning, how to apply machine learning to health economics and outcomes research, differences between supervised, unsupervised learning, especially bring out the differences between prediction and causal inference, where they overlap and where they deviate, concepts of algorithmic fairness, model drift, generalizability, and fundamentally, at the end, how do these machine learning are now getting incorporated in the broader HEO world, where we do a lot of simulations and cost effectiveness analysis and all those kind of things. So we're going to pull that together. All right. As I said, every quarter would have an individual capstone project, basically the capstone project, we would going to give you a reading assignment. Often it's an article or a manuscript, and there'll be a series of questions to answer. And what you would do is you draw upon the tools and the concepts that you had gone over that quarter, and bring to bear those concepts to answer these questions from a data science perspective. Again, we have quarterly Zoom meetings twice with faculty. There are quarterly networking activity opportunities. Obviously, at the completion of the certificate, you would join our Choice Alumni Listserv. So you'll get to know all the upcoming events and activities that's going on in the Institute. Obviously, you'll become an alumni of the University of Washington forever. And then, next. All right. So at this point, I am going to hand it over to Liana. Liana, take it over.
Great. Thanks, Anirban. I'm going to talk about some logistics about the program. So we'll get started with talking about the program costs. So there is a one-time $50 application fee that you would pay online when you apply. And then this is a common question. Students actually pay quarterly for this program. You don't pay an upfront lump sum. So each quarter that you register, you will pay a $55 non-refundable quarterly registration fee. And then each quarter's tuition is $2,835. So the total for the course is $8,505. Again, not an upfront lump sum, because we want students to be able to finish each course before they're registering for the next one. Payment options, electronic check, credit, debit card, third-party payments are absolutely possible. It's common for employers to help subsidize or cover the program, so we can bill a third party. And then because they're not academic programs, they're not eligible for federal financial aid programs, but may be eligible for workforce funding or VA educational benefits. And then we do have a scholarship that's a partial tuition scholarship for admitted students who are currently working in government, like ministries of health, for example, or public sector and nonprofit roles in low and lower middle income countries, so LMICs. To be eligible, a student has to be currently working in a country that's classified by the World Bank as an LMIC. And like I said, that would either be a national or provincial government ministry position. And in that case, the scholarship would cover 50% of the tuition. And then for other public sector organizations or nonprofits, the scholarship would cover 25% of the tuition. And the scholarship application is separate from admission application. So first step is to actually apply for admission to the program. But basically, at the same time, a student can submit their application and then right away also submit the scholarship application, but they will be reviewed separately. To apply, students would need a letter of support from their current employer. We have more details about this on our website that will talk about what content that letter needs to contain, basically confirming the position and kind of the role in the organization and how the certificate's going to help that. And then we do have a scholarship application form on our website as well. And both of those documents would be emailed to us. And the application is the same as the admissions deadline, which is September 16th. To apply, students are required to have a bachelor's degree in a related field. That is the minimum requirement. And really, to gain the most you can out of the certificate, you should have basic familiarity with undergraduate level statistical methods and algebra, and then experience or education in healthcare. is recommended. That's who this is designed for, as Anirban spoke earlier. And then if English is not your primary language, you can determine whether you meet the recommended proficiency requirements through self-assessment. We do not require any language exams or certifications. This is, again, completely a self-assessment. We have a link on our website to a self-assessment grid. And there's that recommendation of intermediate English proficiency. And that's, again, just so that you get the most out of the program as possible and can really benefit from it. Because it's an online program, of course, there's going to be minimum technology requirements. Computer needs to be running a recent version of a major web browser and have reliable high-speed internet connection, a recent computer operating system, and then a recent version of Microsoft Office that includes Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And there is a link on our website, and again, I'll also be sending these slides after today's session, where you can click and test your tech to make sure that your computer is going to be able to access everything through Canvas as smoothly as possible, because all of the content is delivered through that Canvas learning management system. The application process is quite streamlined. Applications are open. So the deadline is September 16th. So you still have a little bit of time to make your decision and ask questions. Courses start pretty soon after that deadline. September 30th is when our quarter begins. The application itself is a 250-word maximum statement of purpose. We want you to just talk a little bit about your background, what you're hoping to get out of the program. We want to review that it's going to be a good fit and match your goals, and then also include a CV or resume highlighting your relevant experience and education. Online application, and we do ask for a 2-week turnaround time to reply, and that would be for both the admission and then the scholarship decision as well. So at that point, we're actually at the end of our prepared material. I'm going to see you can email us, and I'm happy to follow up, and I'll remind about the deadlines to apply as you make your decisions. But thanks again, everybody, for logging in and pre-registering.
Bye. Good luck.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.